Like so many others, I was eagerly awaiting the release of the all-new 2023 Honda Transalp. But while Honda made their big splash and we all stood in awe, Suzuki quietly snuck in and dropped a new V-Strom that may ultimately be the better motorcycle. Let's break down the similarities and differences between the 2023 Honda Transalp and the 2023 Suzuki V-Strom 800DE and evaluate which bike wins in a variety of categories. Looks are subjective, though both have an element of retro styling in their design, and both use colors that are historic to their respective brands. So who wins this category is up to you and will ultimately depend on whose poster you had tacked up on your bedroom wall as a kid. Both are new parallel twin 8-valve 270-degree crank engines, 755cc for the Honda and 776cc for the Suzuki. The Honda makes more horsepower and revs higher, though the Suzuki makes more torque and peaks both horsepower and torque at lower revs. Suzuki developed what they call the Suzuki Cross Balancer, which is a counterbalancer that should make the V-Strom a smoother ride than the Transalp. Honda used their Unicam design to use only one cam, while the Suzuki is utilizing a dual overhead cam design, meaning the Suzuki heads are larger and heavier. So who wins? I'll call it a draw because it's based on personal preference. Do you want the most horsepower possible and plan on winding your engine out to redline? Or do you want the most usable power in the mid-range and the most torque delivered at a lower RPM? Even though I call it a draw, I know my answer. Both have 5-inch color TFT displays, ride-by-wire throttles, selectable ride modes, USB connections, LED lights, and a glaring absence of cruise control, so I'd say electronics are a draw, though Honda offers phone integration if you're into that. Both offer 310mm dual disc brakes up front with wave rotors and ABS, though Suzuki has a 260mm rear disc while Honda's is 256. Both offer capability to turn off rear ABS in their off-road modes, so slight nod to Suzuki on brakes. Both offer Showa suspension front and rear, though Honda only has 7.9 inches of travel in the front, while Suzuki gets 8.7 inches. And Suzuki beats Honda on rear suspension travel too, at 8.7 inches versus the Transalp 7.5. As you might imagine, those bigger travel numbers also relate to ground clearance, where the Suzuki wins again at 8.75 inches compared to the Honda's 8.3 inches. And for icing on the cake, while the Honda offers preload adjustment front and rear, the Suzuki offers full adjustability front and rear, preload, dampening, and rebound. No brainer here, Suzuki wins. Looking at the chassis specs, maybe we'll find some give and take. Honda welded their subframe to the main frame, while Suzuki bolted their subframe. While that may not sound like a big deal, on an adventure bike it absolutely is. A light tumble off-road can easily tweak your tail section, and a bolted subframe can be unbolted and replaced, while a welded subframe means your main frame is now damaged, ultimately meaning automatic totaled motorcycle. Suzuki wins. Seat height is close, with the Honda at 33.5 inches, while the Suzuki is 33.7 inches. Small difference, but it gives Honda a small victory. Fuel capacity of the Honda is a respectable 4.5 gallons, but Suzuki stepped up and offers 5.3 gallon capacity. Given these two bikes advertise the same fuel consumption, the Suzuki is going to offer more range. When you're off the beaten path, as adventure bikes tend to be, more range is always a good thing. Suzuki wins. While more fuel is good, more fuel also weighs your bike down, which helps the Suzuki tip the scales at 507 pounds full of gas, while the Honda is only 459 pounds. Honda definitely wins on weight. But keep in mind, the difference in weight is not only the extra gas, but the fact that the Suzuki comes standard with handguards, which are optional on the Honda. The Suzuki comes standard with a skid plate, which is optional on the Honda. The Suzuki comes standard with a quick shifter, which is optional on the Honda. The Suzuki comes standard with an adjustable windshield, which you'll have to go aftermarket for on the Honda. All these little things add up, and if you're like me, you're going to add them anyway, which will increase the curb weight of your Honda and decrease the funds in your wallet. While pricing hasn't been released at the time of this video, I would anticipate that these two motorcycles will be very similar in cost. So which will you choose? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I can't wait to get some actual hands-on with both of these new motorcycles.